Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Shaping of a Man. It has been a month since I've seen some of y'all, or even decided to make up something and talk about something. So, welcome back, y'all. Obviously, like I said, I'm still dropping this once a month, as you can see. Hey, rocking the hoodie from the brand, and I know a lot of people have been asking, "Where's the brand? What's going on with the brand? Like, what's the deal with it?" So, just to give an update on the brand is ready to go. Everything, website's built, everything's ready to go. Everything is ready to go. Unfortunately, the website provider right now of the brand who we're using is asking for proof of everything. So obviously, I had to submit, proof of invoices, proof of material, proof of inventory, all these things, and obviously now it's just the long overdue of the unfortunate waiting game and the review process. Obviously, it's just for safety concerns. We want to make sure that hey, this is an actual thing. It's not someone just scamming or doing something random all of a sudden, and then I run off with the money. So that is the update for the brand. I did just talk to the people today. Unfortunately, there's really nothing else I can do at this point, and it's just in the queue right now waiting to be reviewed. So I'm hoping to hear something within this week. That's pretty much the update of where we're at with it. I'm sorry. I know. Trust me, everything is literally in my room, ready to go. Like, just ship it out. Some people have already gotten some early access. I wanted to ship it out to some of my close peeps, people that I've known for a while, and just get opinions. And, of course, in the meantime, I'll build up media and all that kind of stuff. But it's discouraging. Obviously, it is discouraging because I want to be true to my word and giving you guys the things that you need, and staying transparent, right? I don't want you guys to think like I'm just out here like talking all this game for no reason because it's here. Look at dope's here. Like it's dope. All of it's here, y'all. So, anyways, welcome back, y'all. Which is kind of cool. As you can see, hey, I'm talking to you guys on a Monday night, so I'm trying to stay um, consistent in the things that I do. And usually during the week, you won't find me drinking a lot. So again, no bourbon this time, y'all. It's actually Topo Chico. Let me tell y'all, Topo Chico with a bit of lime in it, about half a line, phenomenal. So Topo Chico, not sponsored by them, but Topo Chico, look, if you ever want to collab on the clothing line or the pod, you let me know because Topo Chico, if you have not had it, my God, it's phenomenal, refreshing. But besides that, y'all, welcome, welcome back. I think I got a good one for y'all. This is something that's kind of been circling on my mind for quite a bit, and kind of just to give you guys also a heads up, we're going forward. I'm looking to hopefully get the couple people that wanted to jump on the pod on it. Like I said, it's trying to make sure our schedules are aligned, all that kind of stuff, so I can get you don't have to just hear me continuously and listening to me. But yeah, I'm trying to get people on the pod. If you guys have requests or anything, and for those of you who've been continuously listening, hey, thank you for the likes, thank you for the subscribes, because now we're on YouTube. If you want to share it on Instagram, if you find it useful, let me know about it. Like, don't just be a stranger. You can DM, you can do whatever it may be, right? You guys can find me at FXMVIII, and that is where you can find me on Instagram. But let's get to it, y'all. For those of you, like I said, I always try and read off the good word. I have my Bible, my notes, and all the things that I need. My God, so refreshing. Anyways, so those of you who have your word, your Bible, and as you can see, besides that, we have a new setup. New desk. You can see the fancy lights. PlayStation in the back. Hoping to start streaming as well for those of you who play games. I'm a little discouraged on it right now, trying to get everything else in order. Like I said, one thing at a time, right? Little by little, and hoping to get everything rolling. And like I said, new setup, new chair, new desk, new environment, all these things. The pod is continuously growing. So those of you who are stay tuning in, thank you. But if you have the word, turn to Matthew chapter 25. For those of you who are believers, not believers, you are welcome. You're still welcome. I welcome anyone here. Again, I'm reading the context from what is happening in Matthew. Matthew was a Jewish tax collector, and he's writing pretty much, well, in this part of the Bible, there's a parable that Jesus is talking about that has to do with talents and giving you a little bit of background to it and pretty much how to steward and what we do with those talents, right? Um, it's so useful, especially for those of you that know that I'm a day trader. I've been a day trader for a while, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. Emotionally, trading will drain you. It will literally make you challenge your mental. Probably you'll find out a lot about yourself. Everyone can tell you that. And honestly, there's no shortcuts. I don't care what anyone says in trading. There's absolutely no like zero shortcuts. There's no magical potion or magical solution or even a trading strategy that will get it that will make you profitable. It's just the fact, honestly, now that I'm figuring it out, it's just stay consistent. That's it. Stick to it and stay consistent. Sometimes it's not that the strategy doesn't work. You just have to stay consistent, even when it gets rough. Just do it and stay consistent because we're going on 8 years now, and that's literally the only thing I can tell you. Maybe separately, I'll have to make a full podcast that's breaking down everything that has to do about trading. But for now, literally stay consistent. All right, y'all. Jumping right to it. So we're going to jump into chapter 25, 14. And this is a heavy and long one, so just bear with me again. I'm reading off of the, oh my God, I almost blanked. King James Version. There we go. I was like, I should know what it is. Okay, jumping into it. For the kingdom of heaven is a man is traveling into a far country who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another one, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. So then he had that wow. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded the same, and made them other 5 talents. So he took the 5, went and did something with it. It doesn't specify what he did with it, but he took 5 talents, and you again, not literal talents, but again, it can be looked at as money. I know people talk about money like it's evil, and it's really not. I think just people put it in their perspective. Do not be scared of money. You kind of have to risk it for it, right? And again, I'm titling this one, What's a Lot to You is Small to Him. So in those 5 talents might be everything you have, but he came back and he doubled it, right? So jumping back in. And then he had, again, and wow, and likewise, I'm jumping all over the place, y'all. I'm just butchering it today. Then he that received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1, and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and reckoned with them. And so he that received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, look unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides them 5 talents more. Okay, so the second one, his Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make the ruler of many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Okay, so this is a lot here because in general, you can see that even though he only had those 5 talents, right? Like that was a lot more. He was the one who had pretty much more to risk. Okay, cool. The other guys got 2, one of the guys got 1. My risk factor is a little bit more. I have more money to play with. But in that moment, I would like to believe that across the board for all 3 of them were probably like, well, I never had 5 to begin with, I never had 2 to begin with, or I've never even had 1 to begin with. Well, this seems like a lot to me. I should be responsible with this. I know that I'm a bad steward of my talents, or I know that I'm bad with money, or I know that maybe I get scared with risking it. But in that moment, he said, hey, you did a lot with a little. The reassurance is definitely there. God's telling you, hey, instantly, what you seem to think is a lot because those 5 talents of what you see that you're so used to latching onto it and being scared of risking it is very little to me. And that's a good thing. You should be joyful over that. You should be screaming over that because what you think, okay, God, man, I'm struggling to pay my bills today. I'm struggling to do this today. Well, you know what? I don't have the money to invest in this today. I don't have the money to start this business today and put it even in an actual talent perspective, right? Again, maybe some of you are wanting to be athletes. Well, you know what? I can't risk it to be a professional basketball player. I can't risk it to start, singing. I can't risk it to start, a clothing brand like myself. And you're just like, I just can't do it. But essentially, you've been gifted these talents since you were so young, and some of you that are young, and some of you that are now older. And He gave you these talents to steward and to even just double. Because essentially, what happened is the guy with 5 talents doubled it. The guy with set 2 doubled it. So essentially, you should automatically be using those talents to be doubled. But what we're doing here is essentially being too scared to show it. Why? Because we're scared of what people are going to say. We're scared of failure. We're scared of the negative thoughts that may come with it, right? Even just the negative thought to say, hey, okay, 5 talents is a lot to me, but to him it's very little. That's the negative thought that's telling you this. Hey, you're not used to having this, so you better take care of it because you're not going to get more. That doesn't make sense to me, right? We're in a position where we're reassured by God saying, hey, I placed this in you. I placed this in your heart. You have the reassurance that I'm here to back you up. And I think I even jotted this down in the notes where it's like, it's so disheartening because you're sitting here listening to the negative thoughts that are telling you, hey, under certain circumstances, what you seem to think is a lot, and that could be problematic. That could be situations, right? I wrote it down. It says, hey, what you think is a lot, and this can go for situations or problems or situations that you are facing in your life. To him it's little. You're talking to the guy who created the universe. You're talking about the person who's giving you the security out of the word and saying, I made this. You don't think that the problem you're facing is small to me? You don't trust me. You don't think of me big enough. You think that your problem is bigger than the God who made you. And I have to fight that every day myself too. I put myself in that doubtful position. It's clear as day that the assurance is there for you to understand, hey, that yes, your problems may seem big to you, but to the one who's backing you and telling you everything is going to be okay in faith is bigger than that problem. And that's how we measure the success of God. Sometimes you think, well, okay, my problem isn't solved, so my God must not be that big. That's false. Those are negative kind of like negative thoughts, negative comments, right? Moving on, because it gets really interesting as we go forward. Okay. So obviously he said, hey, enter into the joy of the Lord. Second one, he also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliveredest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents besides them. His Lord said unto him, well and done, in good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler of many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Okay, so even the guy who had less than you still took the risk to make double. Because even just because you have more, some people really do have more. Some people you're looking like you have this abundance, you have all the tools and necessities that are sitting in front of you, and yet you're too scared. Even though there's multiple things that are backing you up, and yet you're still trying to play it safe. But you see the guy who, or girl, whoever it may be, the individual who's hustling every day, you can tell that they maybe don't have the most of any resources, right? I know, I've heard it before, man, you're a lucky guy, what you're doing. Or you're lucky because you did this. Like, no, I'm not lucky. I'm actually not going to say the typical term where, like, oh, I worked for it. No, it's not even the fact of that. Like, some people came from more. Some people had more tools in their bag, and unfortunately, they just didn't use it. And it's unfortunate. It's not like they didn't have the upper hand from the start, right? And I don't mean to play the pity card and be like, oh, me, I'm a, immigrant, and my family came here, this and that, immigrant family, and we started from nothing. Like, that's not what I'm going to do, right? Because I don't need the pettiness. I don't need that. I know where it came from. I know that the struggles that I had to do, how hard I had to work to get here. But that's the thing. Like, some of you have all the resources and backing you need, but you get frustrated at the individual and call the individuals lucky who have less than you. But yet they're willing to take the risk because the guy who had two went ahead and still doubled it as well. So what's going to happen if that same effect keeps happening? And of course, you're going to take losses. You're going to take losses in trading. You're going to take losses in business. You're going to take losses when it comes to whatever it may be, your projects, or maybe the talent that you're wanting to do. Maybe you're trying to be, a professional marathon runner. You're going to fall short. Maybe you don't make the cut. Maybe you don't make the audition. All these things, but you don't let that single thing discourage you. Why? Well, let's find out, because moving forward, you'll get to see why it's probably not a good thing, right? So now we're moving on to the guy who had one. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I know thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, gathering where thou hast not stewarded. And I was afraid and went and hid thy talent in the earth. He was afraid, and he went and hid it. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sow not, and gather where I have not steward. You were better off putting the money in the bank, so that way I could at least receive interest. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto whom which hath 10 talents. So breaking it down, you prayed for the opportunities, you prayed for the success, you prayed to have the opportunities and tools on your table, and yet you were still too scared to take the risk. You were born and you have natural talent, and you're still too scared to take the jump. You are literally in a position where even if it's just one single thing that you have could be doubled, and that double could change everything. Why? Because that double is still little to him. The reassurance from the verse before saying, again, you will be the ruler over many things because you were faithful with little. I'm willing to give you more. The responsibility of holding more. And he even calls him wicked. You are legitimately better off handing over the talent to someone else, teaching the skill set to someone else. Why? Because that's the outcome. He literally says, Take therefore the talent from him and give it to whom he that made 10 talents. Some of you, and I've said this before, and this will be a pod one day, when God puts a dream on your heart, on your mind, or puts something on you that the Lord is wanting to use, you're too scared to even take action or an initiative on it. He's going to take it away. He's going to give it to someone else. I am literally wondering, and I say this all the time, I wonder whose dream I'm standing in right now. I'm wondering who didn't obey God, that decided to be too scared, and he said, I'm going to take that from you and give it to this individual who will act on it. And I'm sure there's been moments of things that I've had. I could have acted on this clothing brand in 2015 when I first started on it, but he took it. I was too scared. I couldn't handle it. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how to keep up. I know for a fact he took this and gave it to someone else because I watched certain ideas that I had come to flourish from another brand. And again, he took the talent and gave it to someone else. This is the hard part. It's a hard thing to understand. Some of us will never really get to the point where we can see this or fully fulfill the dream of it. Why? Because we're too scared and we're playing it safe. We'd rather bury it and think, look, God, here's the talent you gave me, 20 years ago. I know I didn't do much with it, but look, I held on to it. You didn't even, instead you decided to hide it. And he's telling you, I wanted to use this to show the world what you were capable of and what I was capable of doing through you, right? Because you had the opportunity to sit here and really think of the negative. You had to literally, as much as some of you break down the negative thoughts of like, well, this is going to happen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to fail here. This is how this is going to be the outcome because I do it all the time too, right? You could have sat down and structured a game plan for yourself and sit in here and said, I'm going to use my talent in this way. I'm going to refine it in this way. I'm going to find a mentor in this way to get better at it. I'm going to find someone in the field who's already in it. And that's the part that gets almost disheartening, right? Because you see so many people that are talented, even like in the dance industry, so many kids that are extremely talented and so many people that are talented, but yet they're cut off short because of the fear of thinking that there's nothing after you get to a certain point. And those are just false things. Those are absolutely false, right? You can continuously keep refining and growing and learning and even absorbing all the teachings that you can get from different people. And this goes in any industry, right? Like I wrote this down in my notes as well. I said, where is it at? I gotta make sure I find it. You played it too safe. You played it too safe this entire time, and you literally just stood there and you watched everything play out. You played it too safe. I think sometimes we sit on this mountain where we think if I'm not humble enough to steward these little things that he's given me, I don't want to misuse it. I don't want to, just throw it out the door or whatever it be. And you're correct. There is a smart way of doing it. I'm not asking you to just risk it all. You've got to calculate the risk reward. We do it in trading every time. Like, as you can see, I'm in a trade in the background right now. Again, I know my loss is going to be small, but I know my gain will be big, right? You have to calculate the risk with everything. But I don't think surely playing it safe is the way to go. Some of you are stuck in a limbo where you decided to give up because you already tapped out. You tapped out. You were like, you know what? This is where I'm at. But you decided to not obey. I think there's a lot of things. Some of us can call it, I feel like this is my dream or this is on my heart, whatever it may be. For us believers, I know that the Lord is telling me and I don't want to do what he wants me to do. I'm scared. There's days where I don't want to make the jump. There's a lot of harsh decisions that I have to make right now. What I call harsh is what he's wanting me to do. I had a student tell me like, "Oh, you like the spotlight. You like these things. Look at the way you're doing the pod. You put yourself out there." I absolutely hate it. I say this all the time. I would rather just be in peace, hide out somewhere in Japan in a rice paddy field with a bunch of animals and not be known by anyone or disturbed. That is what I truly want for myself in my life. The Lord is telling me like, "No, I need you to do this. Get uncomfortable. Put yourself behind the camera. Put yourself out in public. Put yourself out in a position where people can see you. Speak. I had to, speak. Talk about it. Give people some sort of way to follow something." And again, the obedience that you're literally failing to go to is what's holding you back from the talents that you have been given for them to flourish. We can sit here and we can risk all kinds of things. Like, you guys will risk the fact of literally falling in love with anyone. Some of you will risk, sorry, like even just being with any individual. But yet, you won't risk the fact of just doubling down on yourself. You will risk the fact of taking this job that you don't want. And some of you that are really young would automatically jump to what you think is the standard of what everyone else is doing. I was lucky enough to have a family that backed me when I said, this is what I want to do. And keep in mind, it wasn't backed by money because that wasn't the case. It was the backed of being supportive and loved. I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to drop out of college and I'm going to chase this. I don't get it. I think it's dumb, but we will be here to support you all the way through. Right? And some of you have people like that in your life. Some of you have a partner like that. Some of you have friends that are like that. I have a friend group that literally secures me in everything that I do. I'm like, guys, I don't know how I'm going to get through it. I don't know if I'm going to do this. And yet they still stay there and cheer me on every step of the way. You cannot be the guy who decides to hide the talents in the ground and never see it again. I'm sorry. I cannot feel bad for certain people. I cannot feel bad for you being upset in the position that you are in. Again, you guys can sit here and read this in Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. The worst pain that you can literally go through, in my opinion, is when you are told to obey a certain thing or a dream is placed on your heart or something for you to do, and yet you procrastinate and don't do it, and he literally takes it away and gives it to someone else. Are you okay with watching someone else live out your dream? And now, I don't think he's going to leave you empty handed. I don't think that you're not going to be used anymore. Something else will be aligned for you. I truly think that. But again, wouldn't you want the first thing that you've been wanting for? Because your priorities and your dreams may shift. But there comes a point where you have to be like, okay, I've got to get up. I've got to take the risk. I've got to double it, triple it. Money, talents are not a good thing. I think being humble is a good thing, but I don't think boasting is the way to go about it either, right? There's a lot of times where I see people who want to go out and be flashy or whatever it is, and some of you, this is kind of now, let's think on the other side. Some of you have now stewarded so well on the talents that you've been given. You've doubled it, you've grown the company, you've done all these things, and you're still irresponsible with it. You're still wondering why. Okay, the Lord has given me more. Okay, it literally says it. I will make the ruler of many things. And you've received many things, but now within those many things, you're still struggling. Those many things are now losing. Why? Because you are now being irresponsible with the talent that you've been given. All of a sudden, you've now placed, maybe you've glorified yourself over it. You forgot who gave you that in the first place. Or maybe now you're become too stingy that you can't even see the opportunity to give that to someone else. Again, he is the one who is giving you these talents so you can steward it to others, right? You want to be used by God, but yet you don't want to give like God, right? And doesn't mean you are God, but you have to have the heart to give like Him. I don't want someone to take that and clip it and say it out of the wrong way. And at the same time, you have to understand that if He is using you, you have to be literally patient. You have to be giving just as much as He is, right? We have to steward, because I say this all the time. I live by this. I literally tried to give and never ask for anything in return. I literally have tried to live by that my entire life. And now lately I'm starting to see those things play out. When it comes to the clothing brand, when it comes to trading, when it comes to people who are giving me now things and coming to me like, hey, you did this for me and I never asked for anything. I just wanted them to understand and know that, like, hey, I want to help. I want you to do something with this. You can't sit here and be dead to your talents for no reason. You are literally better off just handing it over to someone else that's going to use it. And to me, that is the biggest jab in the world. I couldn't live with it. I know that the risk to jump, the risk to do anything can be extremely scary. There's a lot of us who don't do well when our back's against the wall. I'm one of those individuals who, if my back's against the wall, I'm going to do it. I'm going to double it. I work really well under pressure. It stresses me out. I get exhausted. I get worn out. Like right now, I'm exhausted. I'm worn out. I'll admit it. Right. But it's the time where I put myself in a position to sit here and be like, Lord, I need you right now. I can't do this alone. I need you to come in and help me refine these things that I have going on. I couldn't imagine being in a position where I've gotten all these talents and not put it to use, because it's given me now a position and a platform to showcase it and give it to people and help people even learn it as well, right? There's a lot of people who, some for some reason, they trust in me, and I love that. And I've been able to give them help, mentoring, teaching them. I've been able to, like, again, assist them in things that they may need. And if I don't have it, I'm gonna say this all the time. I'm not the guy who knows it all the time, but I can guide them and direct them maybe to a person or a way that they could, right? Again, the whole premise of this entire podcast is what you seem to think is a lot to him is a little. And that's the main focus on this. You can't sit here and say my problem is big. Again, no, it's not big. It's very little to him. And it's just a small little thing compared to a giant individual who's been here your entire life, right? There's a book that I'm reading. It's actually on my coffee table. It's called Conversations with God. And if you think that you're God, if you think God is big, and you think that Jesus is there, and you think that God is big in all things that you do, and He's so big and mighty, if you were to take a dart and throw it towards Him, you have to think of Him being so big that you could not miss. You could not miss. But if you were to throw a dart at Him and it misses, then your thought of Him is too small. That's pretty much it, y'all. I know that a lot of us are still learning what our talents are. I know that a lot of us are learning to steward money and how to make money, and some of us are so new to it, right? Some of us have not are starting to take this lesson, and I'm gonna say this. If you're just getting into investing, trading, or even a new business, a new venture, whatever it may be, it can be scary, right? I've seen people who are now getting into the crypto market who, again, friends, family members, new people, and they're watching certain percentages drop and they're scared about it. I get it, but it's normal. It's normal. Once you've been through this process of being refined and taking the losses and coming back and however you want to take it, because again, we were not told how they were doubled. They could have gone and easily, like, this is why I have so much respect for people who have the hustle to literally go on Facebook Market and buy something, flip it, or even just sit on a corner and say, hey, I'm selling this or I'm doing this. I hate to say it, but my empathy for people who don't want to work, especially in a world where there's so many resources available to us, is so hard for me to comprehend because there is zero excuses. And this sounds harsh, but it's just the truth. We live in a world where you have access to every single little thing on the internet. Some of you literally know how to do every single trend across the board, but you don't know how to refine and double your talents. This makes no sense to me. You have to actually sit down and prioritize the fact of what you've been given so that way you can leverage it to further yourself in your dreams and your goals. And again, I can keep drilling into this all day because it's something I'm super passionate about. Like, this subject to me is so interesting because I had to like break out of it. A lot of people have to break out of that habit, and it's hard because it's how you've been raised. It's been how all you've been told. Don't take the risk. Don't do this. Fall in line. Go to this. Do this. This is the perfect way to do it, right? Again, I like, there's so many people I see that I know that like some of the things that they say, if someone were to come to me and say, hey, I want to do this, and it's the craziest thing in the world, I'd be like, do it. Just do it. Because sooner or later you're going to learn something out of it, even if it fails too. So, y'all, that's where I'm going to leave it because I can keep drilling into this. And again, you can go read it, see what the Lord is telling you. Maybe if you go and read Matthew 25, verses 15 to 30, see how that hits your heart. See what maybe that might bring to you. But we can't sit here and feel awful about ourselves or sad about ourselves when we're watching other people live out our dreams because you played it too safe. God gave you 5 talents. God gave you 2 talents. God gave you 1 talent. And some of you, God has given an abundance of 100 talents and more. But yet, you're still not using it how you should be. And again, last and final thing, you cannot sit here and own the talents that the Lord has given you and not refine it for it to get better. That is wicked. That is not how we're supposed to do it, right? You have to be able to refine it, sharpen it. Iron sharpens iron. Find how to double down on it, and that will become the thing that you love. Because at the end of the day, that is what He's given you. He's going to be with you. The reassurance of Him saying, hey, I am with you. Be faithful with just this little, and I promise you, I'm going to give you a lot more. Take the risk, and I'm going to give you a lot more. So, y'all, that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, this is a longer one than usual because it's been heavy on my heart. This could probably lead me even into a pod of just trading because I know there's a lot of traders out there. And I will give you guys an update when the clothing line and emails get returned of their verification of the documents that I've sent and everything over. I want to do this right. I don't just want to do this, hey, message me on Instagram, whatever it may be. I want to make sure that this is legit, right? And for those of you that are still here, I ask one thing: like, subscribe, share it, comment on it, something. Let me know, right? Like, if you really do, I want to hear the feedback, even if it's bad feedback. Criticism is good criticism, right? Again, I will always take everything with an open mind. And I appreciate everyone that's been here, everyone that texts me, everyone that comes to me and says this or that. Like, you guys have been one of the biggest blessings and motivations to keep going forward. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time in the Shaping of a Man.